Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at some smart home products from SwitchBot. They make a whole bunch of cool stuff for automating your home, and they've filled, I think, some voids that other manufacturers have not been filling. And they recently came up with a new hub device that will interface their smart home products with the internet along with popular home platforms like Google and Amazon. And their new Hub 2 here I found to be a really useful product because in addition to providing that interface with their devices, it will also control your air conditioner or split system over infrared. It's got a humidity and temperature sensor built in. It's got some buttons that you can program here on the front to do all sorts of different things. And because it has an IR blaster inside, it can also control your television or anything else that has a remote control. So they built in a lot of functionality here, but their other devices are pretty cool too. So we're going to take a look at how all this stuff works in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that these products came in free of charge from SwitchBot. However, they are not paying for this review, nor are they reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded, and all the opinions you're about to hear are my own. So let's get into it now and see what these smart home products are all about. Now, the price point on this is going to vary based on the device, of course, and they also have some bundled deals available too. Standalone, their little remote control button here goes for about $18. The hub is $70. This is the Hub 2. And their little Lightswitch robot here sells for $30. The Lightswitch robot is really cool. It will work with a button push. So if you have like a coffee maker, you could attach it to that and have it push the button at a certain time. It also works with rocker switches, and I have a rocker switch on the other side of my office here. And if I go over to their app and hit the off button on that robot, you can see that it will, once it executes here, push that switch closed. Now you're going to see, though, it's got a little sticker on the bottom of the light switch there, and if I go to turn it back on, what it does is it pulls on that sticker to turn the light switch back on, and it uses this little device here that sticks onto the switch with a little bit of fishing line on it, and that hooks into a slot here on the top, and that's how it does it. So it's pretty simple in how it executes. And once you get this thing dialed in with the rest of your smart home, you can basically turn any rocker switch into a automated switch without having to take everything apart and install something new. It's a really nice solution. It does not, though, work with a more traditional light switch, so the rocker switches are the only thing it's really compatible with, or something that you might push with a button. But nonetheless, it solved a problem for me because this is the only light switch for those lights that I have down here, and I wanted to be able to turn them on and off when I'm upstairs if I forget to do it when I get up from the desk, and this definitely accomplished that for me. And I can also control the light through this little Bluetooth button, which I can use without having to boot the app up. So if I push the lower button here, that will send the Bluetooth signal to the SwitchBot and switch it off, and if I hit the on button here, it will reverse the process. And where the hub comes in is that if you want to control these devices when you're outside of the home, this will communicate with the SwitchBots over Bluetooth, but bridge that signal to your internet connection. So you could, again, hook it up to Google or Amazon or control it with your phone with their app when you are out and about. Now, the hub here does work with the new open source Matter standard. Unfortunately, at the time I'm recording this video, it doesn't work all that well. So I was unable to get this to successfully attach to my Apple HomeKit environment, which is Matter compatible. It just wouldn't get synced, and I haven't been able to figure it out. And some other folks I've been talking to have been having some trouble as well. But even if you do get it connected to Matter, the only things that it does is provide the temperature and humidity as a sensor to the Matter ecosystem, and it will only allow for controlling blinds and curtains. You can't control switches via Matter yet, at least at the time I'm recording this video. So I'll show you a better solution for HomeKit users a little bit further here in the video. But let's dive into what this hub can do because it has a very rich feature set. Now, the Hub 2 here is a pretty simple device. It has a display, as you can see on the front, that displays the current temperature along with the humidity that it's picking up. And the sensors for those two readouts are inside of this little box on the power cable. It is powered by USB. It comes with a USB power adapter in the box, but of course you can use any USB power source. There are two buttons, one here and one here. At the moment, it is configured to just turn the display on and off, but you can use these buttons to automate things in your home. So I could, of course, map these to my light switch on the other side of the room if I wanted to. It's designed to basically sit on a table, as you can see with its kickstand here, but it does allow you to stick it on the wall if you wanted to do that. So you could mount it any which way you want, but it doesn't look like they've got any mounting hardware for screwing it onto a wall. It looks like sticking it is probably your best option. Now you configure the hub through the SwitchBot app that runs on iOS and Android. This app will control the SwitchBot devices directly if you don't have a hub over Bluetooth, but once you add the hub, it becomes the intermediary and will take input from the phone and shoot out the Bluetooth signals to the other SwitchBot devices. What'll happen is that as you add more SwitchBots, you will be given the option to attach the SwitchBot to the hub. So I just connected to this one over Bluetooth via my phone, and as you can see here, it's offering to pair it up now with the hub so I can access it when I'm out of the house or through, again, Google or Amazon. Now, if we go into the hub settings here, you can see we've got a little control panel. What it does is it will give you a history of what it's detecting as far as humidity and temperature is concerned, and it will log that data over time. So I can see what it's looked like here from a humidity perspective over the last month. And because it has a light sensor for its display brightness, it will also log that data so you get an idea as to what your room light levels are over time as well. So lots of neat little things they built in from a sensory perspective. Now you're going to see here I have two IR devices set up. One is a TV, which I'll show you in a minute, and then I have my split system that I use down here in my studio configured. And the configuration here is really easy for this because when you add another IR appliance, all you have to do really is select the type of device that you're connecting and then use their smart matching function. And all I had to do was point my air conditioner's remote control at this, and it immediately picked it up and was able to control everything immediately, including changing from cooling to heat and all the other little features that my LG system has. And if you have like an old television, like I'll demo for you in a minute, you could also just select the TV that you have manually from a database that they have in the app. So if you lost the remote for something, there's a good chance the brand here will be in the database and you can get all that working. And they've got a lot of profiles here for a bunch of different devices that you can control with this. And it will make those devices available through the other home platforms that it's compatible with. Now, I did want to dig a little deeper into this IR Blaster feature so you can see how it works. And what we're going to do first is a fun little experiment because I recently reacquired my college dorm television from my sister, and I've got a Sega Genesis hooked up to it. Now, the TV we're going to turn on with the IR Blaster, and the Genesis we're going to turn on with a smart plug. And we're going to do all of that through a Siri routine here. So let me go and start that. Play Sega Genesis. And what you saw that execute was an IR command to the television and also a smart plug kicking on the Sega Genesis game console. And there you go. It's back to the 90s again with Altered Beast playing on that Sega Genesis. And I can very easily turn it off using the same routine here through Siri. Now, I got this to work with Apple HomeKit through a free open source utility called Homebridge. And what Homebridge lets you do is connect devices that are not compatible with Apple HomeKit to Apple HomeKit. And I've been using it now for several months, and I am very, very happy with it. Again, free of charge and something worth playing with. And what they have in Homebridge is a plugin called Homebridge SwitchBot, which allows you to connect all of your SwitchBot devices through that hub to Apple HomeKit, and you can access those devices both in and out of your home using the Siri commands. And as you can see here, I also have my Wise smart home devices connected to HomeKit in this way as well, and the Wise plug was what turned the Sega Genesis on. The Matter support on the hub doesn't support the infrared devices just yet either. So Homebridge or some other similar utility is probably the best way to go at this point to do the integration that you just saw me do. But if you're using Amazon or Google, you don't have to set up something else. You can connect to those services directly. And in the settings gear icon here on your hub page, you can go over to cloud services and get those configured, and they'll walk you through the process. Now, different infrared devices will have different controls available depending on the type of device. So for example, my air conditioner has a lot of options when I'm outside of the SwitchBot app. My TV has less. I can basically turn the TV on and off, but if I wanted to control channels, I may have to do that through the SwitchBot app directly. So if I go over here to my retro TV, I can power it up. So let's pull up our 2-up view here. The TV does take a little bit of time to warm up, but as you saw, I just tapped on the power button there and it will slowly come to life. And once we do get an image on screen, I can do things like hit the source button here to switch to channels that I can no longer watch because everything is digital these days. I can switch the source back, I can mute and control the volume. And this was all the basic default setting. And I can actually go in and edit what these buttons do and set up a more manual configuration if I want. But I was very impressed by how quickly all this came up and the amount of flexibility you get with the hub to control a bunch of different infrared devices that might be in the room with it. I also have that hub across the room, a good maybe 15 feet or so, and it's able to control not only my television, but also the air handler above it at the same time. Now, as I mentioned, these 2 buttons here at the bottom can be configured. And if we jump into the touch button settings here, you'll see that we do have a scene set up to turn that SwitchBot off when the off button is pushed, but also backlight control is enabled too. So when I hit the button here, it turns off the display and it will turn the light switch off here too. So it might be easier to have the little switch here to do this kind of stuff, but you do have the option to configure the buttons here to work in a similar fashion. So overall, I found the SwitchBot Hub to be very useful. Not only does it connect your little SwitchBot devices to the internet and various IoT platforms, it also has sensors on board that can be used to trigger notifications and other events. And where I have mine placed right now, it can control my split air conditioning system down here in the studio, along with my lights and even my old television over there. So I think it's got just a lot of features that you might make use of, and you can get a lot out of that single device versus having to buy a bunch of them for the same room. I was hoping that the Matter support would be a little better. Even if I was able to get it to work, a lot of the things that I have connected to that hub won't work over Matter at the time I'm shooting this video. So hopefully they get that worked out in the future. But for now, I would not get this for its Matter support. If you really need to connect to Apple, I would look at Homebridge to do it. But compatibility with Amazon and Google is certainly useful here. And overall, I'm really impressed with all the neat ideas that these SwitchBot folks have. We did check out their curtain and blinds controls at CES a few months back, and they appear to work quite well and integrate with whatever you got currently hanging off your curtain rods there. So good stuff from SwitchBot, and I'm sure we'll be taking a look at some other stuff from them in the near future. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.